Thank you for being here. You're here on a special day, I'll tell you that.
Why is it not working, Jonesy?
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
And some nuff dicks were getting tested, then going in and doing a shop.
COVID. I had it.
Detective George Bennett.
Yeah, he's a bellend. Absolutely.
George, don't say hello to you. Like,
I don't know. I'm actually genuinely embarrassed.
I broke my back. A vertebrae or a portion?
Spinal.
Wait, Jonesy, just do that thing where you just put Bill's talking and let me see I can hear him first.
Hey, fellas.
Boy.
I was just telling Jonesy before the show that I was going to try and do this real upbeat intro, like just mix it up a bit, try to be a bit more upbeat. But when the moment came, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm as stiff as a fucking cardboard box. I feel like I've been kicked by a fucking racehorse in the chest. I didn't have it. I didn't have it in me to do it. Sorry. So we'll just start with the standard shit.
I'm glad you didn't, because I hate upbeat people. I actually hate upbeat people. Like, like those people that are real nice. That are like, like I was trying to describe this to someone yesterday. Like I was talking about a guy, and I was like, "There's nothing actually inherently wrong with the guy. He's really nice. Does really well with his stuff. And for some reason he's just so punchable, and just so annoying. I think it's because he's chirpy, and I'm just like if someone's chirpy, they're coming in at like a 9, and you're down on like a 3.
Yeah.
2 weeks into the tour.
Normally I'd say, George, this is just 2 weeks in the tour. Don't worry about it. But you've always hated people. You can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
Oh, fuck.
No, he can hear us.
I can't hear
us.
you, and if you can hear me, I'm happy I can't hear you.
He's got selective hearing. George has always had selective hearing. This is the social distance podcast lowers a snake's ass edition.
No, we can't go down like this, Bills. Like George is now trying to work out. Can you hear us now, George? Yeah. So we're off to an absolute belter.
He's talking to himself. He's in France. I put a photo on.
This is like the episode, the very first episode when you had Novi on. And he couldn't work out how to plug the headphones into that little hole.
This is just France, mate. George is at Tilda front. Who's he talking to?
I can't hear you guys. These things.
Can you hear us? George,
I turned in 50 fucking euros for these earphones. If I've shit
I was going to say,
you
have to, if you're going to buy AirPods, they have to be the brand Apple.
Audio. Okay, I have my microphones. Is it fucking working?
We can hear you. I can hear you.
Have you just turned your volume off? Is it actually you that's wrong?
No, we're chatting between ourselves.
We can hear you.
But his internet's fine. This is talk about people that give me the fucking shits.
No, I can't hear either of you. It looks like my stuff's working, but I don't know what the fuck.
I'd prefer a chirpier guy with good internet and headphones any day.
I'm gonna leave.
Well, there you have it, folks. George Bennett.
There you go. Yellow jersey, leading team, strongest team in the race. George had a cracking ride yesterday, pulling on the front of the climb.
Half of these questions are for a rider that's in the race. What are we going to do? Oh, here we go. He's back. All right, George, can you hear us?
All right. Yeah, should we start again? What were we talking about? Upbeat people.
I said
5 minutes.
I prefer people that had good internet and headphones any day of the week over someone that's upbeat.
What do you hate more, upbeat people or people with bad internet connections?
People with bad internet any day of the week. How are you feeling, mate? Are you pumped?
No, I'm fucking pinned. I'm pumped. Yeah, I'm pumped. I forgot that people listen to this. Do they? Have people listen to this? Yeah. No, I'm alright. I actually am. I'm proper pinned though. I've had a bit of a nightmare tour so far. I'm only 2 weeks in. Yesterday was the first day. I reckon I had about 70 good K of this tour. The first 70K in Nice in the pissing rain. and then I ate shit, like crashed myself. What we talked about last week on the humiliating crash. It was creeping ever since. Then I got proper sick, which is it's not the time. It's not the environment you want to be sick in the COVID-19. Fortunately, there was all the COVID testing, and so we knew I didn't have COVID. But I just had this gnarly head cold, and I finally got rid of it. Well, sort of. It's on the way out. The chills and all this shit. And then yesterday was the first day I could actually pedal my bike properly, and thank fuck I could, because holy, it was a hard day.
Mate, you were awesome. You were awesome yesterday.
Yeah, I think, as you said once, Jules, it was a bigger comeback than Jesus Christ. Than Easter Sunday, biggest comeback
since Easter Sunday, yeah.
Because the day before, I honestly think I had the worst. I'm not like I know when I'm tired, I like to exaggerate things, but
when you're tired,
remember I'm permanently overtrained, so that's 95% of the time. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, I genuinely think I had the worst legs of my career. Like I just had this poison feeling, and I was on the bus, and you got snot coming out of your head, and you've got like the chills, the cold sweats on your cheeks and all that shit. And I was sitting there going,
it's like when you eat too much balsamic vinegar. You know when you eat heaps of balsamic vinegar and you get that like feeling on your cheeks. What? Have you had that?
What are you talking about?
Try it. Like
I hate balsamic vinegar.
Who ODs on balsamic, mate? You splash that shit on very, very minutely.
Yeah, well, you try ODing on it, and you feel what your cheeks feel like.
How much do you have to eat though to do that?
I don't know, half a cup.
Yeah, no. What were you talking about? You're feeling like shit.
Oh yeah, I was feeling so rubbish, and I was just thinking, too much balsamic vinegar, all that stuff, and then yesterday, I just woke up and I was like, oh, actually I'm a bit better today, and then the race went apeshit, and I just never left like position 6 all day, just sit in 6th wheel all day, and then didn't go forward, didn't go backwards, and only the people in front of me that finished their turn swung off, and it was actually pretty good. So I was pretty relieved, but I'm paying for it today, so I'm glad neither of you two are feeling chirpy.
Mate, at least you're still in the race. This time last week was the first rest day of the Tour de France. We're both there. We're chatting about the advice that you gave me prior to the tour, when you said, you know what, Bills, there's going to be crashes. You're going to be in them. That's just how it goes. And then I had avoided every crash up until that point, and we were taking the piss out of you for dropping it twice on stage 1. Here I am now. A couple of broken
I reckon
bones.
this is your fault, George, because you almost put the bloody Mozza on him.
Oh, do you think I cursed him?
Well, if you never mentioned crashes, who knows? Bill's fine.
I don't believe in that gypsy rubbish, but I do believe that you crashed exceptionally hard. Man, you crashed hard. When I looked over, so did you guys start this before me? I don't know if you brought people up to speed, but obviously Jules is out, and you've had one hell of a crash. And if people have seen it, have we got that video anywhere? Actually, I think we put it on our Twitter or Instagram. But
yeah, we should have got it.
Man, yeah, I've got it, but they block your video if you use Tour de France footage. So just look at it on Twitter.
Man, you like it looked like you got him through, and then I guess someone caught you from behind. And the problem is like, when you crash and you slide, you lose all your skin, but whatever. But you just got like the shit whipped down. Like all your momentum just went directly into the ground, and
Mate, I got absolutely ragdolled. That's the only way to describe it, is I got ragdolled. And like the thing about that crash is I had so much awareness about it. Like I knew a lot of crashes happen and you haven't even got time to react. You just, boom, you're done. You're on the ground. At that point, when the crash happened, I was fully aware that they were crashing on the right-hand side of me. So I was like, I had enough time to make some sort of.
Well, you saved it originally. You got out of the way. You got to the left of it because I was straight into the middle of it.
I was like, if I go hard left here, I'm either going to get around. There's a good chance I'm going to get around it. But if I don't get around it, at least I'm going to fall on the grass, and falling on grass typically is better than falling on tarmac. So I got into the grass, but then,
yes.
I think there must have been a ghost hold or something there, or I got clipped from behind, but my front wheel just disappeared beneath me. Apparently my bike was broken in half, and I just
what happened was
ragdolled.
you got taken out from behind. So the guy on the right hand side of you was drifting left like you were, but he was drifting at a rate of knots left and just took out your back wheel, and then you went straight over. So if old mate had followed your line, he would have been all right, but he just pushed it too wide and then clipped the back of your bike. And I remember because I was right behind it, so went into the back but didn't actually come off. And then I looked over to my left and I just saw a look on your face, and straight away I was like, oh, mate. And then straight away your whole team, one by one, came to tell me that you were out of the race. And I was like, oh, I just had this sinking, I reckon I was probably sadder than you were.
I was pretty sad. I've done a couple of interviews and bits and pieces now, so I can't remember what I've told people or who I've told.
I can't imagine you told them you were happy though.
No,
I can't imagine
Mate, I honestly I hit the deck.
How many times did you use the phrase "that's bike racing"?
Part of the sport, just part of the sport, eh?
Part of the sport.
Yeah. Shit happens,
Yeah.
I'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Did you ever give them the worst things happen at sea? You ever give them that
Yeah.
one? Oh, well, worst things happen at sea.
Yeah. Tough day in the salt mines.
Yeah.
I remember I was telling someone the other day, I was fucking hurt, man. I was hurting. First thing because I busted a couple of ribs, so I was winded. I was like George on stage 1, but I didn't have anyone there for some comic relief. So I was just trying
I reckon that would have been a real tough crowd to get a laugh out of you. Like, you managed to get a laugh out of me on stage 1, but I don't think there was anyone getting a laugh out of you.
I would have broken my other wrist, hidden them probably. And then I was like, fuck, I was in pain. And then I realized pretty quickly I'd broken a number of bits and pieces. And then anyway, long story short, I ended up in the ambulance driving me to the hospital. It was like a 40-minute drive to the hospital, and I was hurting. I was hurting, and the doctors in the ambulance could see it, so they chucked me straight away on a morphine drip, an IV, like straight away, because I was in shock, and I knew I was in shock. I've been in shock many times before, and I was trying to compose myself, but I just was in so much pain for some reason. And maybe I'm a soft cock, but
for some reason you've broken your fucking arm.
And your ribs.
And your ribs. I don't know what's going on.
It was so weird.
Why does it hurt so much?
Fuck, broken bones. This is not. Can't join the dots here. Anyway, continue.
And so I was in the back of the ambulance driving to the hospital, and I was lying down, and I was facing out the back window, and we were driving down those long straight French roads dotted with oak trees or whatever. And mate, I felt like David Bowie or something, or like Simon and Garfunkel. I was singing in my head "Hello, darkness, my old friend, come to talk with me again." And then the lady's like, "Oh, we're nearly there. We're at the hospital in 10 minutes." I was like, "Don't hurry, don't hurry."
How long did the morphine last for? Like, when you got to the hotel, were you still floating?
Yeah, I was on and off it a bit when I got to the hospital, because once again, I'm not sure why I was in so much pain, but I was. And so they were giving me painkillers while I was at the hospital. And actually, a funny little story there. I got to the hospital and I was there by myself because the team doctor would always come to the hospital when one of us crashes, but he was stuck at the finish line, and the finish that day was on an island. So the road was completely closed, the only road on or off the island. So he couldn't get to me until quite a bit later on. And I had there was fuck all going on at this hospital. So I had a bloody spectators, about 15 nurses standing around my bed looking at me, all yelling at me in French, talking to me in French. What's wrong? And I was like, does anyone speak English? And there was this young nurse there, and she started speaking to me in English. And I was like, thinking to myself, shit, she speaks good English. And then at a certain point, she replied, she goes, "Okay, sweet as." And I was like, "Where do you learn your English?" And she studied she studied to be a nurse in New Zealand, in Wellington. So we ended up having a good old chat for a few hours there, and then they would give me painkillers, and then they had to put a cast in my arm. But again, I don't know why, but it was so sore, and they were twisting my arm in all sorts of fucking directions to put this cast on, and I was like, again, I don't know why, but it was just hurting. And then so then they ended up. So I had a fair bit of morphine, and now they're giving me the laughing gas. So I was like, oh yeah, I was on a trip there. When I got back to the hotel, though, I think it was a combination of being pretty fatigued from 10 days of racing, being pretty sore from a number of broken bones,
and being higher than Joe Cocker.
Yeah, coming down off that kind of stuff. And I walked into the hotel lobby, and Julian Dean, Matt White, and Matt Heyman were sitting there in the lobby, and those three guys, they all mean quite a lot to me in a number of different ways, and always had my back and supported me. And finally, I was at the Tour de France, and those three guys were there, and I just fucking broke down, man. I just lost my shit. I lost it, eh? And then, But how are you going, George? Yellow jersey, mate, leading the Tour de France.
Yeah. You actually the way you described that. I mean, the hours directly after, apart from the real sting in the tail by going back to the hotel, but I mean, the morphine, the laughing gas, you almost made me look forward to crashing out of the Tour.
Hey, George, I want to know if you've got a sniffle and a cold, and you're in the team that's leading the Tour de France.
Mate, it's panic stations.
Do they wrap you up in Glad wrap? How do they? Do you have to go in a separate car?
But luckily, it coincided directly with the COVID test. So the day of the last time we did a podcast, and then we already had another, and I've had another couple of tests since, and obviously all negative. But it means that I'm permanently on mask duty. I'm actually shaking it now. Like as I've woken up today, the snots and everything's gone, but I'm on a mask 24/7 in the bus. Because everyone, all the directors and stuff are always wearing masks. Everyone's wearing masks, but obviously, your boys sit on the bus and
you're the bubble boy.
Yeah, I actually am like the boy in the bubble. But as of it's obviously going away, so I'm in the clear. No one else got it. I think what it was, it just had we had this hotel with the aircon. It was super hot and the aircon didn't work. So we brought in some, this is my best guess. I got no idea if this is true. This is probably just slander against this poor mobile air conditioning company. But we had these little mobile units that we bring in, and obviously they hadn't been fired up since, who knows, probably the Vuelta last year, I'd guess. And the first moments they come out, you just get a bit of an infection or a bit of a shit in your sinuses, and then when you're already on the ropes and you're healing from injuries and stuff, and then you've just got no immune system and you just suck. And it wasn't what I needed, eh?
I'm going to step in here and say that's complete bullshit. Okay. There's no way. There's no way. I would suggest,
COVID-19,
given my medical. My uneducated, unresearched...
You're fleeting running with a New Zealand nurse. An expert.
Yeah, and medical... Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that I would suggest it's because you're tired. It's standard week 3 of a Grandy.
Yeah. No, it is. I don't reckon I've had a Grandy where I haven't had a head cold or something,
No.
Shit, I used to get him and I didn't ride.
Yeah, but you drank piss every night till 4 a.m.
Yes, fair enough.
Speaking of piss drinking, we had a couple of messages on our social media, the Social Distance Podcast social media. We got a good following now and good, a lot of support from guys for me for my crashes, and also for you, George, heading into the final week and trying to win the Tour. But quite a number of messages saying, has Buell's been sober yet since he had his crash? And that's a valid question. And to be honest, there's been times in my career where I've had injuries. And when I say times, I mean, every few months for the last 10 years, where I would normally launch into a couple of beers. Mate, I've been on the absolute limit. I've barely had a drink.
Really?
I had,
yeah, but you're addicted to morphine.
Yeah, maybe it's been the come down of that. No, mate. Honestly, I've barely had a drink. Like I had in the first 3 days after the crash, I had 4 beers across the 3 days.
Hang on, you've been to? Isn't it 5 or 7? Isn't it an odd number?
Yeah, isn't it one for each?
You're full of shit.
It's 2.
No.
It's an even number. It's an even number for Bill.
Oh,
It's
it's
got to be 1
2.
for each leg.
But
Sorry.
I've only been having like one. I've had like a couple of days where I only had 1 beer, and then one day where I had 2. But I'm not worried about my legs at the moment. I've only got 1 arm to fix, so I need one beer per arm. The other arm's fine. Yeah.
You got 2 ribs wrong, so you need 1 for each broken rib.
Yeah, true. So that's 3.
But do you feel that this year more than any, you can blame COVID for everything?
Yeah.
So like when people go, geez, mate, you've stacked on the beef, you go, yeah, it's COVID. And everyone just goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, you creeping on the bike. Oh, COVID, fuck my prep.
Yeah, didn't come out of lockdown well. Oh, lockdown wasn't good for me.
Yeah. And like if people go, oh, you got a drinking, you got a drinking problem. It's COVID, mate. And everyone's like, oh, yeah. It's pretty much just write the year off. Like you can get away with anything.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'm about to head into my third rebuild of the year now as well. So it's going to create some real issues. Hopefully not a drinking one.
Yeah.
Let's talk briefly about Tour de France, because I know that George, you're going training shortly, aren't you?
Yeah, we are. We're going to go do a ride. But I just wanted to touch on: is that wrist that you've broken? Is that one you've broken before, or is that the other one you broke?
I had that question the other day, and honestly, mate, I couldn't tell you. I can't remember.
You fall badly, eh? Like you fall. I think because you're so big and you've got like the leverage, like the physics doesn't work, isn't in your favor. You know, there's so much like force going on to it. Because if you've ever seen Sam in the flesh, he's actually got like tiny arms, like literally the arms my size.
It'd be like pushing a giraffe out of a truck.
A recently born giraffe that can't stand.
Yeah, like a foal. Yeah.
70k an hour, just throw him out of truck. But I noticed like when you fall, you've just got so much leverage or so much weight from your legs, like all your masses falling on your arms and shoulders, and it's just the wrong. Oh, hold on.
I mean, I've had plenty of crashes where I haven't broken things as well, though.
Maybe you need to do some like a fall boot camp and learn how to stop, drop, and roll.
Well, actually, when you look at I was talking to Durbo about the crash I had the other at the tour there. It was almost like a trademark fall. It's how you learn to crash. Like, I mean, you learn to crash in a sense. Like I did actually, I crashed in almost the perfect way, rolling. I think the fact that we're going 60k an hour and that there was a massive ditch there that I hit the other side of, kind of defeated the whole purpose of rolling. But I mean, guys, I have had crashes before and not broken bones. I've had plenty of crashes and not broken bones. It's just sometimes, you know, things don't work out again in your favour.
Hey, so George, back to the race. Are you guys worried about Pogacar, or you reckon Roglic pretty comfortable?
No, I always said it was. People keep saying, "Oh, it's Roglic, the Bernal," and I was always thinking, "Oh, this is Slovenian guy that you got to worry about." Because I saw him in the Vuelta last year, and I was at the Vuelta last year, and he was really good, but I was so shit in the Vuelta that I was always dropped before he did his really impressive stuff. So I didn't really see it firsthand, and then I didn't really go back and watch any replays of the Vuelta. So I'd heard that he was freakishly good, and then already in the Pyrenees, I was thinking, oh, he's pretty dangerous. And then yesterday, like we set like as hard as we could, like that tempo. You doesn't get much faster. At least I can't go much faster. And he was just cruising, man. So I'm definitely worried about him. But I was going to say, oh, we've got the time trial up our sleeves. But then in the Slovenian Nationals was exact replica of the Tour de France TT. It was like, oh no, maybe it was the inverse. Maybe it was like you started on a climb and then it went flat. But at some stage there was a bike change. Half of it was flat, half of it was up the hill, which is exactly what the Tour is this year. and Pogacar bet Roglic. So I was thinking, oh, maybe it's going to be pretty close. So we were definitely worried about him. But
it's definitely clear that the Roglic Bernal battle's been settled. There's no coming back for him.
What do you reckon happened there though? Like that, I mean, because I finished yesterday and then I swung off, like finished on the front and then I swung off. I don't know, 5-6K to go, and went as easy as I possibly could to the line. I'm talking just smaller gear, just turning it over, and it took a real long time for him to catch me. And then when he caught me, he wasn't like fighting he wasn't like on the limit, you know. He was just completely empty. He was just in like stuck in first gear, you know. He could just get from A to B. So what do you reckon happens there?
For sure, when you get dropped, I mean, he was dropped really early on, and he was obviously dropped early on because he couldn't follow the pace. And then at that point, it becomes mental, doesn't it? Like, as you watch the bunch go further and further away, he's got his radio in, he's getting told, oh, look, mate, you're 30 seconds behind. Next time he's a minute behind, then he's a minute and a half behind. And at that point, you're like, well, the Tour de France is over for me. The head falls off, you know.
No, it's COVID. Yeah, the interrupted preparation. I heard some commentary saying that, you know, in Colombia it was 3 weeks later than Europe, so, you know, it might have affected his build-up or whatever. COVID, write it off. Start again.
Drinking problem.
But do you reckon Ineos would be fucking spewing they didn't bring in Geraint Thomas?
He's going there.
Back up.
But what's crazy is that, like, when I look at Tirreno, like, you look at G from, when did I race him? Tour de Lan. And, you know, he was well off the pace. But then you look at him in Tirreno, he's maybe the second best guy in the race. And, like, it makes me think either in Tirreno he was, in Tour de Lan and Dauphiné, maybe they were even doing, I don't know. I could see that, this is absolute speculation, but, like, they were doing something like they still needed to lose a little bit of weight. So they were, like, racing calorie restricted or something like that. And then, so of course you creep in. But they were actually, it was all part of the long-term plan to be at the Tour. Because, like, it just shows that talent doesn't disappear. Like, you just see him, because he was good when he needed to be good. Like, Tirreno's the second week of the Tour. That's when the action happens and he's flying. So,
I mean, like, hindsight's perfect vision, isn't it? And
yeah.
Like, they selected the team, I mean, and I kind of respected the way that Ineos selected their team. Obviously, it being a British team, a lot of people would have been thinking, there's no Luke Rose in there, but other than that, like, there's no Brits in there, But they selected their team based on trying to win the Tour de France. Let's take the best riders. It doesn't matter where they're from. We're taking the best team to try to win the Tour de France to support Bernal. So at that point, they obviously felt that G wasn't in that 8. But yeah, now, like I say, hindsight's perfect vision. You look back now, really, other than Kwiatkowski, he's riding pretty well. The whole team's not performing that well, to be honest. And you look at it now. Rowe's always flying.
He did this pull the other day on the Pumaru stage, and they obviously were like, I think their tactic was, let's make it super hard because the last 2K was really hard. So let's make the whole stage as hard as we can, try and take a bit of Rogler's punch out of his legs maybe, so he doesn't have that big acceleration at the end. And Luke went on the front and just did this uphill pull, and I was just like, it was one of those moments when you're like absolutely suffering and you're like, right, just got to get over here, and then you look up and you're like, it makes a difference who's hurting you, and you're like, fuck, if this is their big domestique for the flat that's hurting me right now, it's a real dick shrinker. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you don't see it and go, oh, that's Kwiatkowski. Okay, he's been world champion uphill and whatever, you know, I can survive this. You're just like, so he's moving.
Hey, we had a question the other day that I forwarded to our WhatsApp group that I'll try to find now, which is quite an interesting question. And I promised her name is Sarah, I think. Sarah? Yeah, Sarah. So Sarah, I promised her that I'd answer this. We'd discuss this with her.
Okay.
So her
sounds serious.
Well, not with her, but we would discuss it.
It's a big build-up, Jules. It better be a good
one. I'm trying to fucking find it. I'm trying to fucking find it. So her question is, she's sorry about my crash. Thank you very much. She's not sure.
This isn't that nurse, is it?
No, not the Kiwi nurse. I actually did hear from her though.
She slid into your DMs.
Yeah.
She likes the Tinder on the bike idea.
Yeah. So her question is, okay. So why in the peloton does Mitchelton Scott not ride like a squad like Jumbo or Ineos? Sorry. Obviously, your two teams, specifically you guys, George, this year you've been riding teams always together. You're always in the front. And what she's observed is that our team's been a bit scattered all throughout the bunch. You know, like maybe a couple of us together, but we're not riding as a unit, as one team towards the front of the bunch. So she's asking, what's the explanation behind that if there is one?
Well, there is.
Now,
COVID.
We just didn't come out of the lockdown as well, so we've been together.
Interrupted prep.
There is an explanation to that, and the explanation to that is that it depends.
You guys just don't like each other.
Yeah, social distancing. No,
the guys that are signed for next year ride together, and the guys that are going elsewhere, do their own thing.
No, it's in all seriousness. It's basically what the goals of the team are. So when you look at what George's team is doing, they're riding for one goal and one goal only, and that's to protect Roglic. So you always want to have the guys around Primoz. You always want to be close to the front in good position. Although I would argue that sometimes they use a bit of energy by doing that, but that's how you approach safety. They stay in that front part of the bunch, always together. If you've got people around Roglic, you always have a couple of guys behind him. So if he has a mechanical or he has a crash or whatever, then there's always a couple of guys that are really quickly aware of it. They can change a wheel for him if they need to, and they have guys in front of Roglic where they can take the win for him but keep him in a good position. Now for us, Mitchelton Scott, our goal this year at the Tour de France was to win stages. I don't know if it still is. Yates is sitting fucking 5th on GC now.
I called bullshit on that straight away, and even to you keep saying, "Nah, he's going to drop off. He's just as soon as he's out of the yellow, he's going to sit up." And I was going, mate, he doesn't look like he's in any shape to be sitting up. This guy's flying.
But it wasn't bullshit. It wasn't bullshit. Honestly, it wasn't bullshit. That was always the goal. So anyway, the reason that we've been riding sort of scattered around the peloton is for a couple of different reasons. We always ride in pairs. So, if it's a sprint stage, for example, we'll always have a couple of guys around Luca. If it's a GC day, you'll always have a couple of guys around Adam. And the way that Adam likes to ride, he doesn't like to ride up there in the front in the line as a team. He likes to be a little bit more relaxed until it gets to the nitty-gritty. So he likes to sit a little bit further back in the bunch. And that means that you just put, which was my job, I would always be around him, riding in a position where he felt comfortable and relaxed. The same would go with Luca. He likes to ride in a different part of the bunch. So if it's a sprint, he would ride where he chose. And given the fact that we were going for stages, meant that we actually had guys on specific days that had no roles. Their role was to only role was to look after themselves, save the legs, because in tomorrow or in a couple of days' time is where you're going to be required to either go in breakaways or to try to go deep into a mountain stage to look after Yatesy. So those guys' roles were only to look after themselves, to stay and to stay fresh and stay recovered and stay relaxed. So that's the reason why we have been like that this tour. You would have seen, obviously, in other grand tours where we have been going for GC, because we're not this year, where we have been going for GC with Simon or guys like that, and then we would be riding more like you guys are, George. We would have all the guys around Simon or whoever it may be in a good position, close to the bunch in the safety zone. And
we had to made a real active decision to ride like that. Like, we know, like, sometimes we're just sitting up there and we just think, are we too far at the front? And then you just go like, well, actually, we have the favourite for the race and we have the guys that can handle it. And it's just, you know, you just got to control. I guess what you're like trying to do is control everything possible. So like, even like, yeah, you asked if I was worried about Pogacar and stuff, and I am, but I'm probably more worried about like a slippery roundabout or like a middle section or something, and all of that stuff. Like, I know it's just a little bit extra energy, a little bit more like taxing to have all the guys there, 8 guys in a row every day for 21 days. But like, you just can't afford it. You just can, when you've got the yellow, especially, you just cannot afford to have any like moment where you're just sitting a bit far back and something happens and someone bumps into you or something. I mean, you saw like, even like in the start yesterday, you know, you see the crash of Hugita?
Yeah.
Did anyone see that? So that was from Youngles, and obviously completely unintentional, like from Bob. Like, I feel bad. Hey, here's a.
He swung off hard though. Like, that was
He did swing off
hook.
hard. But did anyone see Youngles later in the stage get hit by the ambulance?
Nah.
So an ambulance just came up and just drove straight into the back of Bob, and just, it's a video, and just skittled him on the road.
Was Hugita driving it?
Oh, there's a rumor that Hugita was in the Ambo, but
And then the Ambo driver's like, "Sorry, mate, fucking COVID." Hey, are the guys stressing about these last batch of COVID tests?
We've got them all back. We're all negative.
Hey!
So, yeah.
So
no, but we've done a few. Yeah. We've done quite a few, and now we're all negative. The only thing is, we've got a couple of staff going to do the last. I think we've got like 10 staff that didn't do them yesterday, because they did them the day before the rest day, because they needed to give everyone a bit more wiggle room in case there were these false positives.
Oh yeah, I was wondering about that. That's good.
So yeah.
Hey, before we have to let you go, George, a lot of people ask me about.
How are you going training, George?
And we're leaving in 16 minutes.
Yeah. Merchandise update. Talk about fan questions. That bloke had a ripping idea about the Legend and Bellend collection. And Bewley and I put our heads together last night. We were sort of floating some ideas. Now, what about this idea where you have reversible hoodies or T-shirts, and you can flip them inside or out, and it's a Legend version and a Bellend version.
Oh, I love it.
So the scenario is this. Now, Bills, remember when we used to go to pubs back in the day? It'd be you, me, Heppy, Heppy's brother, Turtle, Baby J, and we had this thing with the buttons. And if you did a good deed throughout the night, you'd button your button down. And the goal was to get your shirt completely open. I mean, it's fucking stupid. But a scenario is you go out with all your mates with the hoodies on or the shirts, and they're all on Legend status. But throughout the night, you fuck up. Flip that shirt inside out, boy. You're a Bellend.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
Just quickly on the buttons, just on a side note, did you guys ever have this stupid trend called shotgunning? Did you ever have that? So we went to this.
So.
This isn't another Titanic is sinking story, is it?
Is this different to? Is this different to shelving?
Yeah, this is different to shelving. Shelving different to sinking, different to docking. So this is
the Mormon dock.
This is when we went through this phase when we were like, I don't know, 17, 18, where we'd always thought we were like a bit hot shit or whatever. We always started wearing dress shirts. And maybe it was more around the 20, when we were 21, because everyone was having their 21st birthdays, and you'd always wear a dress shirt to your 21st. And what, especially one of my mates, is a real pest, loved to go up to you in your nice dress shirt about, you know, just at the end of the night, everyone's getting pretty hammered and everyone's on the dance floor, and he would just grab you by the top of the shirt and just rip down. So all the buttons would spray everywhere.
Oh, that's a dog's act.
Yeah, it's real shit. And it just became this thing where everyone would do it to each other. And I remember cleaning up from my 21st. I had it at the Waimea Old Boys Rugby Club rooms, and I had to go back the next morning and clean up. And I was there with my mum, and she was just looking on the floor, and she's like, "What the fuck? Why is there just a sea of buttons?"
Well, I think with the design, it can't be too like it's got to look good. Like, you don't want to go out to the pub and be wearing like it with the Legend side turned out, and it just looks too gimmicky and just shit. I think it still needs to look like a cool, understated hoodie. But the ones in the know, know the status of you for the night. There might be some sort of telltale that says
So I don't know
there's
if
like
I
little
think
L.
Automatically, if you're wearing a shirt that says "Legend" big on it, you're a Bellion, aren't you?
Exactly.
That's right. Exactly.
It's got to be something that people want to wear that looks cool. So Caitlin will sort that shit out.
Yeah, she can do that. We can.
And then when you flip it, Bellin.
We reckon because of COVID, the garments of choice this year for most people have been track pants, hoodies, lazy lie around
sloth shit.
Sloth.
Well, I'm still sitting in my underwear, so I haven't even graduated to trackies yet.
And another idea we had, Jones and I were talking about we were talking about the Livestrong bracelets and like how cool that initiative was. So Nike made the Livestrong bracelets. They sold for $1 and they sold for $1, and that $1 went to cancer research. So it was a non-profit thing for Nike. And all that money went to charity, to things. So we were thinking we could do our bit for charity as well and start to bring the bracelet back, do a social distance podcast bracelet. $1 goes to charity, and we sell them for $5.
This isn't a joke.
No, I like this.
And Caitlin designs them, and those extra $4, we get $1 each.
Yeah.
So everyone gets $1.
Everyone wins.
Yeah,
charity gets $1, and we all get $1.
Yeah, I like this. Okay. What are we inscribing on these bracelets?
Well,
are they reversible as well? There's also
Legend Bellend. So you can have it's Bellend. Yep. So it's almost like a stamp of how you're traveling.
Okay. Well, I firmly have the Bellend on today. If in the metaphorical bracelet. So I'm actually gonna have to go for a bike ride.
Yeah.
But great to see you boys. I'm glad you can sit up straight and things, Bills.
Thanks, mate.
We miss you. We miss. No, but really, like I there was like an air of the tour when you weren't there the next day. It was like, just missing a bit of je ne sais quoi.
Were you contemplating doing it Aru and just going, fuck it, I'm out? I think
that's what Aru did. He just went, can't do
Billy's not here. No,
I was explaining the je ne sais quoi thing to the boys at the dinner table the night before I crashed. I was like, I don't know how to explain. It's just fucking funny, eh? I was like, oh, this tastes quite good. It's got a bit of je ne sais quoi.
Viva la tour, mate. Viva la tour. All right.
Hey, all the best. All the best for last week,
good
mate.
To see you, boys. Thanks. Talk soon.
No worries.
Love you, babes.
Bye.
So, yeah. George Bennett. Do we cover the year, or do you want to wrap it up? What's your gut shot?
Mate, I've got nowhere to be. I mean, if we carry this show on for another 15 minutes and talk about 1999, like we spoke about, we can then track the viewership, and see how many people are actually listen to the show just because of George. If there's a massive drop off after 43 minutes, we know this show's going nowhere without George in the future.
Well, okay. Well, let's give it a go, because I'm backing our comedic chemistry any day of the week.
Yeah.
So strap yourself in, folks.
Buckle up.
Now the show really fires up.
I've got a scattered brain. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what we just spoke about the last 43 minutes.
I don't know.
Let's step into it. What are we doing?
All right. So we didn't want to do Legend or Bellend. We thought, we need George for that. But we definitely want to talk about a year. Now, 1999 for me was an absolute cracker.
Legend or Bellend is coming back with a vengeance at the end of the Tour de France. That's our stalwart segment. So that will be back every single episode after the tour. But like you say, we need all three panelists for that to split the vote. So 1999. Carry on, Jonesy.
So for me, 99, it was the year I turned 18. I was in year 12. And I just remember it so vividly. And the biggest thing that when you look back that stood out was the Y2K bug. Like, there's similarities with what we're going through with COVID and the panic buying and all that sort of shit. We went through that towards the back end. And it all started with this whole revolution of, oh, man, once the year flicks over to 0-0, the fucking planes are going to fall out of the sky. You know, these computers haven't sorted this shit out. I remember thinking, like, at the start, like, oh, you know, how much can a date affect any of this shit? But then the news, particularly in December, they were saying, oh, no, like, medical equipment's going to be the worst. And I'm thinking, hang on. So someone's on a life support machine that they've spent $1 million on, and all of a sudden it flicks over to midnight and it's just like, boo. Like, who the fuck designed this? Not thinking of, like, the coding with the date. And could you imagine in the waiting room the next day where the doctor comes out and they said, look, we're really sorry, but we lost your husband. We couldn't save him. Once it flicked to midnight, the machine just flatlined. We literally tried everything. We tried Control-Alt-Delete. We tried to reset the computer, but nothing worked. So we're sorry.
Like December 31st, you're like, oh, how's he doing, Doc? What's the prognosis? Look, honestly, he's going to make a full recovery. He's looking bloody good, you know. Honestly, like, you know, bones. He's just got a couple of broken bones, to be honest, at the moment. But we're just keeping him on a couple of machines, just to check his pulse rate and all these things. So
he's giving him a bit of oxygen. You know, he should be fine.
So yeah, he's going to be completely fine. The issue is that the clock's changed tomorrow, and yeah, I don't know if he's going to make it because of that.
It was and then there was this panic buying, like, you had to buy this, like, McAfee software. It was like 5 CD-ROMs. That was going to be our big way of tackling this shit. Get this antivirus software installed on your computer, and then you become this wanker that was telling everyone, no, I'm Y2K ready, mate. Like, I've installed the software. I'm sweet. Those same wankers on December 31 flip over to Jan 1, absolute bellends. You've torched all your money, because when we did the New Year's Eve countdown, everyone's waiting for, 10, 9, 8, and then everyone's celebrating, and then they're sort of like looking around, like waiting for, light poles to fall over and shit.
Waiting for an asteroid to strike, or
and fucking nothing happened. So after that, we're all like, well, you can't trust nerds. The nerds are the ones that fucked us over here. Bill Gates, they were bloody hanging him from a post. It was an absolute fucking rev up.
Everyone was out buying canned food, like, as if, you know what, they're not going to produce baked beans in the year 2000.
Well, that was the issue. Jan 1, you're like, fuck, we're going to be living off tin spag for the next 4 months. Like, you're looking at your cupboard going, do you really need to do that? Like
that movie when, whatever that movie's called, when all the cows and stuff, like the year 2000, like 0001, year 2020, all the cows just dropped dead, all the sheep dropped dead, fish died, and they float to the surface. But it
was a joke. But I remember the actual year itself. So I was in year 12, and year 11 I was identified as like a promising student. But year 12 I really struggled, because when you turn 18, as you know, Bill's, like, you want to go to pubs and all this sort of shit. And I remember there's a thing, I don't know if they got it in New Zealand, but it's called SWAT-VAC, and it's like the 2 weeks when your exams start. It's like meant to be the key period of your whole year 12, and therefore, your whole schooling career. And I remember the first day of SWAT-VAC, I thought to myself, I need to get some fresh air. There's too much fucking pressure here. I need to just go down for a walk down the street, go to Target, whatever. Anyway, as I get down there, they had a sale, 1 day only, Sony PlayStation, half price. And it was like, I was like, oh, no, I shouldn't. I need to get into the books. I need to study. I need to make sure these 2 weeks I nail it. But then the other part of my brain's going, fuck, they're throwing in, like, they had this Sydney 2000 Olympics game that came with the PlayStation. And I'm like, fuck it. It actually could be good for the study routine, like I'll get the PlayStation and I'll find a way of balancing out. I'll get it all done. Mate, that night I bought it. That night I was just so addicted, because I was never allowed PlayStations and that at home. So the first day of this fucking study cram 2 weeks, man, I was doing 100-meter sprints. I was breaking 10 seconds. Like, then I moved on to the decathlon, worked out how to do the javelin. And sure enough, I get to the exams and fucking bombed out. Like, bombed out. Oh, I remember just when I got my marks in bloody November, I felt like absolute shit. and I got a UG for the math methods Cat 3, which means ungraded, which means they've read it and they've gone, what the fuck? Like, put that in the bin. And I remember, like, my old man was like, what the hell's a UG mean? I said, oh, they're still marking it. He goes, what do you mean? I said, yeah, no, they're still marking it. Don't worry, they should come through in a couple of weeks. He goes, you mean to tell me every student in Australia's got their mark and you're the only one because of this one fucking cat? Bullshit. So yeah, no, that was a downer, but it was still a good game. Like that Olympics game back in 2000 was an absolute belter.
I was only a young fella when at the end of '99. There, we're talking about 1999, but now you are talking about 1999. I was.
What was your brain doing then? I can literally see your brain going like when Homer Simpson's got chasing that chicken around the tree with the stick.
For my brain was still stuck on the Y2K, on the Y2K thing.
So you're like, so we're into 2000 now. And you're like,
yeah. So I was about to tell a story about New Year's Eve as we went into the year 2000, but then I realised that's not the year we're covering.
Yeah, but you can talk about up to midnight.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say I was a young fella. I got my nose broken.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I was like, when I say young fella, I mean young. Like not. I wasn't young enough that I was old enough, but young that I was at a pub and got punched in the face or anything like that. We were camping with the family. We used to go to the same spot every year, and I think we were just climbing a tree or something, and the fucking big guy above me, the branch broke and just swung down and smacked me straight in the schnoz at 10 to midnight and broke the fucking nose. It was I ended 99. But there was a bit going on. I've seen the notes that you've sent through here. Obviously, there's a lot of things that happened that everyone will remember the Columbine massacre, which was man, again, hard to believe that was 20 years ago. That was fucking
well, I read the book on that, and that could have been like, it was shocking, but they'd planned to do even worse stuff. Like they planned to let go a bomb, and they were waiting out the front of the school, and when all the kids were going to run out the first time, they were going to just spray everyone, but the bomb didn't go off. So then they went into the school, and they reckon could have been another 30 to 50 lives lost, but still
that was sort of like the start of all that shit that's happened in the last 20 years. Fucking hell. There's one here a note that you sent through. Australia had an election to become a republic, and it got shut down. What does that mean? Explain that to me.
We wanted to get out of the Commonwealth. We wanted to stand on our own. So we wanted to be our own identity and elect a president and all this sort of shit. Like we were going to say to the Queen, thanks, but no thanks. And it was close. Yeah, it got 54% voted no. But, I think in Victoria it was split 50-50. Like, yeah. And there was a big campaign like, why do we need the monarchy? What does the Queen do? She's just a figurehead. We can stand on our own. And then other people were like, well, if it's not broken, don't change it,
Yeah. And also, like, it's a little bit, I mean, New Zealand and Australia is very similar, along with a lot of countries in the world. Like we have our natives, we've got the Māoris, and you have the Aborigines that are the natives of those countries. But ultimately, like, we're British as well. We came from the UK. So to abolish the ties with Britain is sort of in a sense abolishing your ties with your identity in a sense as well, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember we had to do it for a debate in year 12 in 99, and I was actually on for the Republic because people were saying, yeah, it's traditional, that. And I was like, yeah, but like on that theory, why do you renovate your house? Why do you make improvements? Like stand on your own. But to be honest with you, I file it now under who gives a fuck. I don't really care
what
anymore.
Fucking difference does it make?
Don't give a shit. No, but it was a good year for classic tracks like Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way. When that was first released, like I used to have the Nick Carter blonde hair, mate, that was the shit.
The spikes.
Yeah. S Club 7, Bring It All Back. Another banger. 5, remember they were all the rage, like If You're Getting Down.
That's the pick of the bunch, for those. If you're getting down.
And that's when Eminem burst on the scene with my name.
Slim Shady LP.
But the one that stands out when you look at the movies, like you've got the Green Mile, Fight Club, Any Given Sunday, Talented Mr. Ripley, Notting Hill's another banger, American Beauty. But the best one for me was American Pie. Like, I'll never forget when I saw that for the first time in the cinemas. I just lost my absolute shit. And they were the same age as me and my mates. Like, they were just finishing high school. And it was this whole rite of passage and all this sort of shit. But did you know they've made 9 American Pies?
Yeah, but they're all
making
rubbish.
the 9th now.
They're all rubbish apart from the first one.
Well, the second one wasn't too bad. The wedding.
First one was great because, as goofy as it was and silly as it was actually so relevant. Like, that is honestly how people who finish high school look at life. They just want to go and party. They want to go and have sex. You know, they want to go and just get amongst it. And the old man, I love the old man. You know, when he catches his son,
Jim,
with the apple pie, the warm apple pie.
Yeah,
but like he's a good
dude.
He's a supportive dad because he's done that. He's been there. He's had that apple pie in a sense. You know, like he was that age once. So it's like it's all real relative.
The best is when they're looking at the apple pie and he's like just gutting. He goes, we'll just tell your mother we ate it all. But so I know when I saw that they're in the process of making the 9th at the moment that they're going to release, and you know it's a banger when it goes straight to DVD or straight to video. I mean, we can't go to the bloody cinemas in Victoria at the moment. But there's American Pie, American Pie 2, American Pie Wedding. We know those. But then there was the Band Camp, the Naked Mile, Beta House, the Book of Love, which they were just straight to DVD. Shit. But then the American Reunion. But the latest one, American Pie Presents Girls Rule. And I've managed to dig up a trailer, Bulls. This is the trailer for it.
Guys, we're all lacking something in the romance area. Yeah.
Rule 1, fix our romantic lives.
Rule number 2, we support our fellow women.
And we won't let each other get away with our usual
Welcome to the annual back to school party!
Fresh meat. Am I right, ladies? Yeah. We're using the party gods to seduce a new guy.
Wow, you need to sacrifice a virgin or something?
No, don't worry, you're safe. The guy you might be looking for might be right under your oyster.
I mean, it is a beautiful time to be alive, ladies. Am I right?
Oh, God, yes!
Ladies, please raise your glasses.
The girls' rules.
Yes!
I'm not watching that. I refuse. I'm not fucking watching that.
Shit house.
I would rather slam my broken arm in a veranda door than watch that shit.
The interesting part is there's a character in there, Stephanie Stifler. So obviously the script writers are going, I know Stifler's got a daughter or something stupid like that. Right. But one thing they can't do, they can't flip the roles. Like, they can't have a young girl that sleeps with Stifler's dad because that would be crook.
Yeah,
like, could you imagine that?
But Stifler didn't sleep with.
No, but you know, Stifler's mum and Finch slept with Stifler's mum.
Yeah.
If they flip it, you can't have a young girl sleeping with Stifler's dad because then the next American Pie would be the American Pie Stifler's in the clink.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing fucking 5 to 10.
Oh, yeah, that looks like a horrible movie, eh?
Yeah,
that looks fucking terrible.
In fact, we started the show real flat and just over it, and I think that American Pie trailer's just finished where we started.
Just brought me right back down to where I started this morning. Let's wrap it up with a couple of little positive things.
Yeah.
We are number 1 on the New Zealand charts. Number 1.
Yeah. Awesome.
So after all that, we were blowing wind up our own asses for quite a number of weeks there and talking it up. It happened. It actually happened, and it's got to be thanks to obviously to the listeners, because without you guys listening and subscribing and liking and sharing and doing all that stuff, we wouldn't have hit number one. So what I've done overnight, Jonesy, is you guys would have seen on social media that we were number one on the New Zealand charts, sporting charts. I should probably clarify that, but we were number 25 in all shows, number one in the sporting charts. Number 3 was Lance, The Move, his podcast, The Move. So what I've done overnight is I've taken a screenshot of that, us at number 1, Lance at number 3, and I've sent it to him.
Oh, you've poked the bear.
Slid into Lance's DM because Lance, in my opinion, he must be one of the most competitive human beings on the planet. The planet. So I've poked the bear and I've said to him, mate, the battle's on in the New Zealand charts. Let's get some podcast banter and competition going, because so we can plug his show a little bit. He can plug our show a little bit. I thought it'd be great.
Because he needs our flow on effect. It's going to be huge for his show.
Exactly, and well, he's behind us. I mean, he might be getting 100 million hits in America, but he's getting fuck all in New Zealand. So
he's creeping up the bergs in bloody Wellington.
So I've slid into his DMs and he's blue ticked me. So he's read it,
but has he replied?
No, shit, no. And I'm betting that he won't. But I'm going to keep on him, I reckon. I'm going to be one of those pests.
You've got to be Andy Dufresne in Shawshank, and Lance is the library with all the new books. Just send a letter a week.
I'm
just
going to just poke the bear. I mean, what's the worst thing about it? And then
it'd be great content. And then you can screenshot all the messages that you've written to him and don't get a reply. People love that.
And like we say, he's getting millions of views in America, getting nothing, getting donuts in New Zealand. So if he wants to have a shot at our title, I think the Kiwis have just sent a message. They're just over it. He's had his time, and it's done. He sent me a message after my crash, and just said, "Hang in there, bud." That's all he said. So then I replied, just, cheers, Lance. Yeah, pretty devastated, but how it goes sometimes. And then he's obviously gone, now Buells has got carried away and thinks that we're fucking mates. So now I'm sending and just started hitting him with all these photos of the podcast charts. Yeah, he'd be sort of going, fuck, did I need to write anything? Because he was because that guy was big news on stage 10. He's sort of like day old Brad, just put him in the bin. No, he's had one crash and there's only 2 in France. I sent him a little, just so look after yourself sort of message, and now he thinks stalker fan. It ain't over yet though, Lance. I'm going to poke that bear. Yeah, we're coming for you. Good stuff. All right. Keep sending messages and ideas for merch and stuff. So we've got to go record the detour. So if you want to tune into that live for the last week, me and Buells are on it with Iffy, and we're going to be talking about the 2003 Tour de France with Cookie. This will be this is our last show, obviously, of sunflowers in the background and vaguely touching on the Tour de France with George, and then going back down the rabbit hole talking absolute shit. These last couple of shows haven't had a lot of research done, a lot of structure put to them because George has been busy racing. Jonesy's been busy with the detour. It's COVID. It's COVID. But we will be back. We'll be back next week with back to the standard social distance protocol, Legend of Bellend, and a little bit more research. So, thanks, guys. Subscribe, like, share, and poke Lance. Poke Lance's bear. Get him to get amongst us. Attack him. The more we can fire at Lance, until there's a restraining order on us, don't stop. Righto.